Hello, today I'm super excited to be meeting Linda Smith Harvey, who's been my friend and a business partner for the last 2+ years. And this is the first time that we'll be meeting in person. We thank God for technology because we've been able to keep in touch, and she's the creator of the fantastic Abundance Diary. I've been using this diary for 2.5 years. I came across it kind of by accident because when I started doing the financial fitness workshops, I was wondering what is the one thing that you could give away to people which could help them start tracking their finances. And I walked into a library in Pretoria, and then my husband pointed it out to me and said, "Oh, here, look at this." And I was so excited, and when I looked through it, I discovered that she lived in Cape Town. And so when we got back to Cape Town, the first thing I did was call her up, and I think we must have spoken for like 30 minutes because we really connected, and the exact thing that was in the diary was what I was actually thinking of doing. And so I said, let's not reinvent the wheel. This is a super tool that anybody can use. And for the first week of our 52 weeks of giving, we'll be giving away 5 of the Abundance Diaries. Look at how gorgeous it is. This is the 2012 one. I love the colors. I just love it. And I'm just super excited. And we're giving away 5 of these. Check out the end of the video for the details of how you can get a hold of it.
Who is Linda?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, when it comes to my Abundance Diary, this is a true representation of what I was supposed to bring to the world. And if I just take it back a few years, in fact a few decades, I used to take a normal diary when I first started working, and I used to turn it into a financial diary because I myself wanted to be very clear about the money I was earning and where it was going, and by tracking it in my personal diary, it gave me the information that I needed. And then if I fast track a few years, I then started offering financial coaching on a one-on-one basis. And following on from the financial coaching, I then began to offer workshops. And the natural next step that came out of that was then the creation of a financial diary. And initially it was called the Financial Freedom Diary, and it evolved into becoming the Abundance Diary, and now it's the Guide to Financial Freedom and Abundance. And it truly is a representation of not only what I want for people to experience, and that is the experience of abundance, irrespective of the amount of money they have, but to have a tool or a structure, well, a tool that provides a structure, I might say, where you can track your goals, track your money, learn about how to improve your money habits and your money skills, and really have a place that represents your goals, what you committed to. And there's nothing more fulfilling than being able to reflect back over the period of a year and reflect on what you've accomplished. When I was a teenager, I did used to think about this thing called money. And what I observed was that people seemed to work for their money. And my question that occurred for me at that time was, why did people not get their money to work for them? Because it just seemed that a lot of people were working for their money, and even though they were working for their money, they were not necessarily fulfilled, and they were not necessarily happy. And I pondered on this and considered, why don't people get their money to work for them? However, you have to have some money in order to have it work for you. So what I concluded out of that question for myself was the goal, or the action that needs to follow would be, when you earn money, you need to save. And my very first goal when I had my very first job was to do that. And while people were asking me what am I spending my money on when I got my salary, I was like, no, I'm not spending it, I'm saving it. And in fact I did save it, and saved it to the point that I had enough for a deposit on a house when I was 21. And a lot of friends said to me, how did you do that? And I was thinking, well, how did you not do that? I sort of made the conscious choice to live at home with my parents so that I didn't go out and spend money on rental and living expenses. And I went to factory shops to make purchases for clothes instead of going out into the malls and buying the top end clothes. And for me it just made sense to do that. And even in doing that, I didn't realize at the time that this would ultimately be something that I would end up teaching to people. But if I fast track a few years later, got married, had 2 children, and then got divorced. And as much as those things were my choice, being a single mom has its unique challenges. And that's where I can say it was a hard time on my own, and managing children, taking care of their needs, both physically, emotionally, and financially. But truly, it was during that time that I learned such a lot about the true abundance. And what I mean by that is, it's not about what you have to conclude and draw abundance. It's actually how you feel about it. And if you can relate to what you've got, whatever that might be, or however little that might be, if you can relate to that with a sense of gratitude, it certainly helps you to move past those difficult times. And it was during that time that I also got involved in transformational work. And not only did it make a huge difference in my own personal life, I also discovered how much I loved and thrived in being involved in making a difference in other people's lives. I mean, literally in a coaching capacity. And at that time, it was interesting. People started saying to me, Linda, you should teach people about money. And this is about 10 years ago now. And I truly couldn't see where that would fit in. At the time, there wasn't a financial coach. There wasn't a money coach. I mean, that concept hadn't really been born. And in fact, what they were maybe brokers and advisors. And that was not something that inspired me or I had any interest in. But miraculously, and I look back and look at the miracles that do happen in our lives, friends of mine literally contacted me and said, Linda, please can you come and help us with our finances? And they were wanting to just have me come in and help them on a part-time basis. And what literally happened was, thereafter they came back to me and said, Linda, sorry, we're in such financial difficulty, we can't take you on, so don't worry about it. I then said to them, look, let me come and help you, as one does. They were friends. I went in and helped them, and created some structures for them, got some clarity going, got things organized for them in such a way that they felt so much better about their finances. That what happened next was their friends called me up. And I still remember to this day that phone call when it came in. Their friend calling me up, Linda, please can you come and help me? I need what you did for those friends of ours, how much you charge. And there was a moment in time where I really saw the opportunity that there was something here that I could provide that would make a fundamental difference in people's lives. And literally that started one client. And that grew to another client, and then over time my work has simply grown through word of mouth, as well as obviously then offering workshops, and then the diary, and even more recently I've even created an iPhone budgeting application. So it's been a remarkable journey for me in terms of offering people different ways and different approaches and even different tools for them to truly access not only themselves as their wealth, but to experience abundance and to feel financially free and experience financial peace of mind.